Hey, what is up, guys? Tejas here from 11 Gauge Recordings. It's been a while, but I was pretty busy with a few projects, and it's been a while since I made a video, and I thought, it's time to get back and make a few videos. I got a few comments from you guys saying that you really appreciate the work that I put into these videos, and I really appreciate you guys for actually watching the videos and giving me such positive comments on these. So today I have a really interesting video for you guys. I stumbled upon this technique by actually working on one of my upcoming singles. By the way, if you still haven't heard my EP under the name of Clouded North, please click on the link in the description below and please give it a spin and let me know what you think. There's a new single coming up which I'm working on, and hope you guys like that too. So this video I'll be showing you guys an excerpt from that single. So let's just get right into it. So this is actually a technique that I use to make my snare a little poppy, poppy in the sense to pop out of the mix a little more and make it a little bit more thicker. So let me just play a part of this song so you get an idea of what I'm talking about, and then let's just get into what I did to the snare, and hopefully you guys will like the technique that I use. So here goes. So that's one part of the song. I can also show you another part of the song. So as you can hear, the snare kind of jumps out of the mix, and also it's quite thick. So if you have watched some of my previous videos on how I mixed some of my previous songs, you know that I use a combination of drum forte samples and slate samples. So I used something similar in this song also, but I found that the snare wasn't thick enough and I wanted it to fatten it up a bit. So let's see what I did here. So basically what I have here is 3 snare samples. This is the first one. This is the second one. This is where I used the technique I was talking about, and this is the third track. Why does it sound so weird and muffled? And what I did here is basically the Waves GTR plugin on the warm setting, increase the bass a bit, decrease the treble. That's basically what I did to this, and also I used the 421 off axis as the mic setting. I then EQ'd it, removed quite a bit of the high frequencies, everything above 2K almost, and some more EQ after that. Removed a bit of around 380 because it was getting a bit low mid heavy, so I just took that out, and also used a gate because it had a bit more of a sustain to it, which I didn't really want because I wanted more of the sustain from the original snare samples and not from this track. That's the amp track, because it was kind of interfering with everything else in the track. So what I did is I gated it. So let's just listen to these settings on and off. So let me just bypass all the plugins on this track. So this is how it was. This is basically a duplicate of the original snare sample over here. So this is how it sounds. Pretty straightforward. Then comes the guitar amp, and this is how it sounds after that. You hear that sustain? I didn't really want that in the track, so after that, removed everything above around 2K. Let me just bypass that and show you what that's actually doing. So that clears up some of the high frequencies for other stuff like the cymbals and guitars and that kind of stuff. So after that comes this EQ. Basically what it's doing is removing a bit of 380 hertz. So let's give that a listen. Let me just exaggerate this frequency for you so you'll know what exactly I was cutting. I didn't really want much of that. And finally comes the gate. Let me just bypass it first and then I'll bring it in. So basically what it's doing is cutting off the really huge sustain that's happening after the initial transient. So I didn't really want that sustain, so just took it off. So then what I did is basically blended it with the other two snare samples. So let's just bring the snare sample fully down, and then I'll bring it in slowly with the rest of the mix. Let me solo the snare for you. Mute the snare amp track, and I'll bring it in while playing just the snares. We're getting best of both worlds, which is the sustain and the punch and the high end from the actual snare sample, and from the amp track what we're getting is that low mid heaviness and some thickness out of it. So but we get all that without the sustain of that amp. So we're getting the sustain mainly from the initial snare sample. So that's a technique that I use, which I found really cool, and I thought I'll share that with you guys. So that's about it for this video. I'll be back with another video very soon. Please keep watching the channel, and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much.